Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to Global Learning Day here at Concordia University's fourth space. This is a chance to learn about a whole bunch of different international programs, which we'll hear a little bit more about in depth, I think, in this conversation. We would like to begin by acknowledging that Concordia University is located on unceded Indigenous lands in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. And we respect the continued connections with the past, present, and future in our ongoing relationships with both Indigenous and other peoples within the Montreal community. We're running today's event as a live stream both to YouTube and a Zoom meeting. And there's some of you joining us there on Zoom or YouTube. If you have any comments, questions, throw those into the chat. We'll read them out. You don't have to worry about it up front. We'll mention them, but we do encourage that. Okay, enough from me. It's very much my pleasure to hand the microphone back over to the coordinator of short-term programs at Concordia International and our moderator for this discussion, Maral Abajian. Welcome back.
Thank you, Doug. Welcome everyone, and welcome to Global Learning Day, where we will be exploring the different programs that we offer to Concordia University students. And today we're joined by Dr. Ricardo Dal Farra and Lucia Foster. Dr. Ricardo Dal Farra is a professor in the music department, and Lucia has also experience in field school. She has participated in Columbia Field School in summer 2025 in May. So welcome and thank you for being here. So basically, field schools, they are more than just travel. They are hands-on learning experiences that connect theory to real-world practice and open doors to new perspectives. We will talk about your experiences and what goes into organizing a field school, the impact these field schools have on students, and why international academic experiences are so valuable today. Let's dive into our conversation with Dr. Dal Farra, who has been organizing field schools in Colombia and Mexico for a while now. And we would be more than happy to hear about his experience in organizing these field schools. So the first question for you, Dr. Dal Farra, would be, what inspired you to start organizing field schools to our students?
Thank you, Maral. Can you hear me well? Thank you for inviting me. And we work together very closely when we organize the field schools. And when we started, I think that one of the first persons who was organizing a field school was Eldad Sabari, my colleague from the music department. He was making field school to Israel. And then we talked a lot about this, and I started to think about that. And I thought it was going to be a good experience because, okay, I was not sure. I thought, okay, I know people in certain places where really the students could have a fantastic experience that will be totally different than the kind of things we have regularly at the university. And especially because those days we were having posters around the university saying things like, you know, we're talking about the connection with the real world, and the university is fantastic. It's like we are preparing or helping to prepare people for the world. We are supposed to do that. So, and yes, we are doing a lot of things inside the university, but the real experience is when you are able to apply outside the university, inside, but mostly outside the university, what you're learning here. So I thought that, okay, if we can take the experience to other places and see other cultures and other ways of doing, other ways of understanding, other timing, you know, because sometimes the timing in a culture is totally different than a timing in another place. The way you answer, the gestures, everything is different. And you need to learn with all these things. You know, my students know my favorite word is to adapt.
Yeah.
Yes, so to adapt. And in that process, we learn a lot. So that was the original inspiration.
Experience, okay. And how did you decide on, for example, Colombia and Mexico and not any other location? Why did you choose Colombia and Mexico?
Yes, that's a very interesting question. Okay, I mean, I'm coming originally from Buenos Aires, from Argentina. So I thought, okay, I could do something in Buenos Aires. But, you know, each place has pros and cons. And honestly, even if we have MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding with the other institutions where we are working, but really the way it works is on trust and confidence in the words of people. So I trust the people on the other side. So for example, if I'm going to Colombia, usually we are doing things or in Bogota
Mhm.
that is very different from the other place where we are going sometimes, that is Manizales, smaller city, 500,000 more or less. But I mean, I deal with the same people. So when we say this is going to be that date, I don't need to sign a contract. I mean, we know each other and we trust each other. So that's the way it works. Otherwise, this kind of process,
It would take forever.
so it's the same. So both in Bogota and Manizales, that's the one of the main points, to trust the people, to know that when you are going there, the level, the quality of the from the academic side is fantastic, is really good. At the same time, the human beings on the other side are really nice. And when you have a problem, they will do everything they can to solve it. And if they can support the students, they will do it. If they can show something about their cities, they are proud of that. So they're really happy about these kind of things. And that's happening in Bogota and Manizales in Colombia, and the place where we have been several times and we expect to go if everything goes well in 2026 is Morelia in Mexico. And you know, we're talking about Colombia and Mexico. That, of course, I'm usually joking and thinking about, okay, there are safest places in the world where we can go for sure, but we take care of really going to specific places, and we take care of the spots where we are visiting. So we are taking really a lot of care in where to move around, etc., etc. And we go, for example, to Morelia in Mexico because the Mexican Center for Music and Sound Art is there. And they receive people from all over the world all the time with residencies, concerts. It's a fantastic place. And I know well the director. We have been doing projects, not just field schools, but many other projects for probably 25 years or so. So again, I need to trust the people. We don't sign any paper. We just trust that if they tell me we are going to be there that day, and that professor is going to help, and that other professor is not going to be able to do it, we know that
Things would happen successfully.
Yes. So you need to know the codes, you know. They in some way they learn the codes of Canada and Quebec. We need to deal with their codes in Mexico, in Colombia too, because culturally speaking, things works different. For me, it's an advantage that I'm coming from Latin America, so for me it's easier, the communication because of the language, but also because of the culture, but especially because you know the people, and I think that's one of the learning things here. I mean, we were talking before to start the podcast with Lucia about emails. So in some cultures, emails are important. Some other cultures, doesn't work that way. You need other ways of communication. In Colombia and in Mexico, but especially in Colombia, if you don't have WhatsApp, it's impossible. So you need to be careful in how you manage this platform. When you are in Quebec, it's one thing. When you are abroad, it's another thing. So you need to manage things in a way that you can do the best you can with what you have. And really, the possibilities in both in Colombia and Mexico are fantastic.
And it's a responsibility, right? You're taking around 16 students, 16 to 20 students. So it's a big responsibility. Thank you. Lucia, from your experience, how would you describe the field school experience that you went to Colombia?
It was action-packed, but also very redeeming. We traveled on the basis of 2 events. One was the Festival del Imagen, held in Colombia. It's in Bogota and also Manizales, the 2 venues. We also went for the Media Arts Conference. So we knew as 16 or so students what we were getting ourselves into. It was going to be 10 fully action-packed days. And we would also, in between attending speeches and creative presentations, that we would have to work on our own research pieces. So you may ask, when did we have time to sleep? We didn't really, but we also were able to travel a lot to different cultural centers and visit different parts of the city that were really eye-opening and also very inspiring for our own work. We saw a lot, we did a lot, and in the end, we all had pieces to present. all the while collaborating and having so much fun together. So it was intense, but we were all grinning and having a great time together. And we're all friends. Most of us are friends to this day. So going to do it again.
Thank you for that. Knowing that the field schools, they are also considered to be regular Concordia courses. How is the field school course different than any other Concordia course?
Well, when you sign up or when you register for a class at Concordia, you know that you will be limited to a classroom or perhaps a few field trips if you're lucky. You meet one professor. And in a field study with other students and abroad, you meet a variety of different mentors. Like in Colombia, Ricardo introduced us to a local photographer. We also met a flutist who's also a scholar. You're able to meet a bunch of different people that you wouldn't have the chance to do in Canada, but that's because everyone's there on the premise of a cultural conference or a festival. So it's a great hub and very concentrated, but also to Latin American scholars. So it was a great opportunity. And yeah, Concordia, it's more regimented, I think.
Good to hear. Thank you. Dr. Dal Farra, what goes into preparing a field school from logistics to academics?
I told you, do not ask me that question. It is a lot of work, but I mean, it is rewarding because the results are fantastic. But yes, it takes a lot of work in terms of logistics, because it's not just the logistics of the place where you are going. You go through a process at the university. For sure, the help of Maral is doing a lot to make this work. But I think you need to take care of many things. So, of course, you need to be sure that when you are planning to go to a certain place, you need to get the approval from the other university or institution, etc. You need to get the quotes for the trip, I mean, for the airplanes or for the hotel, etc. And you make a proposal to the university that needs to be approved, and you need to have a minimum number of students to make it work, like it happens with any other course. You need a minimum number of students to roll the class. So, and of course, sometimes it's difficult because, you know, something that happened very often for us is that, yes, you have a number of students, but what happens if the class that you need a minimum of 16 students are dropping below 16 because someone is dropping in the last week? And then you need to challenge because you cannot close the course like that. But I mean, it's a difficult equilibrium between what you want, what everyone needs, the expectation. You need to pay in advance the hotel or this or that. At the same time, if 2 or 3 students get sick, suddenly, then you need to see how to manage this. I mean, not the professor, the university should deal with these kind of problems. So it's not an easy task, but I mean, it is extremely rewarding when you are able to do the field school. And you know that it is, what was the word you were using? Intense? Yes, it is intense. It's very hard. I mean, you need to work a lot. I'm usually saying, yes, they are asking me always the same the first day when I'm explaining the activities. When are we going to sleep? Or no, when are we going to do the products, etc., etc.? And I'm saying, yes, well, during the night. Of course, I cannot say that here. I shouldn't be saying this in the podcast, but I mean, I can say that in Mexico or Colombia. So the students are working a lot, but I mean, the results, I'm totally convinced of this, are not going to be seen immediately. Immediately, yes, it's nice, it's a lot of fun, you can do a lot of things, you get international exposure, etc., etc. But I think that in different ways, the results are being seen in years to come. When you start to be a professional in your field, and you will see how things work, how difficult it is to get into a festival like we were, for example, where usually are people, only the guest or keynotes, all the other people are going through peer review process, and my students are going right away to the end to show their work. I mean, they will see in a few years when you need to apply and you get rejected for this or that or whatever reason, not because of your work is not good, because maybe 10,000 people apply for a position of 500.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people is going to be rejected. So how to deal with these kind of things and to get these opportunities, I think are excellent. It is something in the thinking about the learning process is unforgettable.
It's unforgettable. Yes. I agree with Dr. Dal Farra that, yes, organizing and planning these field schools, they take a lot of time. But at the same time, when we hear about the feedback of the students, when they tell us that they really enjoyed their experience, they learned a lot, they met new people, they made connections, which would be helpful for their future careers, that would give us more encouragement to work on planning and organizing these field schools further. Yes, thank you. So Lucia, right now, can you please tell us a moment that stuck with you, I mean, in the field school when you were in Colombia?
On the 10th day, we had our final presentation at one of the cultural centers at the University of Caldas. And we had to do a research creation piece. We did interactive arts. We had all of the students be part of a live band as an orchestra, and everyone took turns acting as the conductor of a orchestra, which was a social experiment in some respects, but we had to use our visual language and gestures that we had maybe picked up in the fields exchange to create the magic, so to speak. And we found out about the performance, I think, one day before we had to present. So you can imagine the pressure, but I think the way that we all came together and collaborated, trusting ourselves and being inspired also by the field recordings that we had and the substance that we had to work with, it was beautiful in the end in my mind, because how could you do a live performance with the materials that you had? And I found it to be a success in the end, even if it wasn't perfect. You know, we were taught improvisation, so that was the best part.
Good. And how did the field school tie to your studies or career goals that you have in future?
I'm a student in film animation, and we're usually taught linear filmmaking, and to be able to take the skills that I've learned in animation practices and challenge them with electroacoustic students, music, it's made me think about where I want to take my art outside of the kind of, I don't want to say box because it isn't a KG program, but it's just, it provided me with tools to explore outside of what I've learned in the program, and also consider studying in higher education internationally and how to act as a contemporary artist that is appropriate and something exploratory with technology.
Okay, thank you.
I want to say something.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, when you were mentioning about the last concert, I mean, what probably they don't know well is that one of the moments that was there, I spent like a couple of hours. Hector Fabio Torres is the vice president of the university in research. So he's a fantastic musician. So he came and he was organizing part of it. Usually to find Hector Fabio is very hard, you know how it is. So he's always busy. You never catch him on the office, etc., etc. He's always traveling, etc. He came and spent a couple of hours with the students. He was happy, you know, that he's a very important person, I mean, doing research internationally, etc. And then when they were rehearsing, and especially at the end, it was Giovanni Betancourt. Giovanni is the director of it's a big cultural center, is of a science center. He has like 5 different hats. And among the hats, he's one of the best flutists that I hear in my life. Yes, so he was doing his master in another university here in Canada, a master and a PhD. But I mean, he's really fantastic. I mean, his level, and he plays jazz, experimental music, classic, Colombian music, whatever you ask, he plays perfect. And he was playing with them. They were improvising and they are still students. He's a very top level musician. He was happy about the performance and the recording. So I think that these kind of opportunities are great because if the professional is enjoying doing it, I mean, for the
How
student, I
about the
think
students?
it's a great opportunity to see how other people are managing their time, their priorities. They're willing to share the space and the concert with different people. So I think those points are really, really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in this question also, you might be able to tackle further the learning, academic learning exposure, how it's enhanced. So how do you think the field schools enhance students' academic learning, and in what ways these field schools would help in their future career?
I think there are a lot of different points, but I mean, just to maybe highlight a couple of things, it is like, you know, especially when you come here to Canada, I arrived here like a little bit more than 20 years ago. I mean, you learn about, you're going to apply for a grant, for example, you learn a lot about content and the container to the form that you need to learn to fit in a certain culture. When you move and suddenly you are for a week or 10 days in a different culture, the rules are different. And you need to adapt, as I was saying before, and you need to learn really fast how to do things. And so maybe you are the best expert in a certain field, but you need to see how to present that. So they need to develop things. So based on what they bring from before and what they learn really fast in a week or less than a week, they need to present that live in a public set. So it's a lot of pressure, but I didn't see anybody crying for that. You know, and I'm always saying, you're going to pass the class if you do the live presentation or not, but you will lose the opportunity.
Yeah.
Nobody said no ever, because who wants to lose an opportunity like that? So yes, it's not perfect. I mean, there's nothing perfect.
Yeah.
So, but you take the risk. You take the risk doing the best you can. And that kind of opportunities, I think that to become a professional has to do with that, to decide when you say no, when you say yes. When you say yes, it's putting your best. If not, it's better to say no and to deal with the consequences of that. So I think that those kind of things, it's not just about the content, because the content, for sure, they were in the Media History Conference and the Festival de la Imagen. These were not only people from Latin America, people from Europe, from New Zealand, from Australia, from all over the world were there. So it is a fantastic experience. And something different that also has to do with culture is that depending where you go, maybe the people attending the conference, the academics, the professors are going to devote you 30 seconds or 2 hours. And I know that when you go to places like the Festival de la Imagen, I see really well-known people, astrophysicists, people working in NASA, et cetera, spending hours with my students, hours just going to take lunch or dinner or whatever, or to walk around. In other cultures, that's much harder to get. So the opportunity to start talking those kind of conversation, I can tell you specific names of former students that today they talk with really famous people every week. They have the WhatsApp, the, you know, mobile, et cetera, and everything started with a conversation in Manizales or Bogota. So these kind of things are real facts, are not just goodwill. I mean,
and then I really like the idea of adaptability, and definitely when there is a change, we need to embrace that change in the environment that we're in the setting that we're in, and adapt and work accordingly. Last minute changes might happen. And even if we were well prepared, we need to adapt to the situation and try to work accordingly, right? Yes. So I really like that idea of adaptability.
It's not that I love to have like changes in the last second, but you need to deal with those things. Yes, that's real life.
And what kind of advice would you give to students or faculty members who would really are keen on organizing field schools, and students definitely attending the field schools? I will start with
Okay.
what kind of advice would you like to give to a faculty member?
Faculty members, I would say, be patient. You need to put a lot of work. It's not something easy to do, but it's rewarding. But I mean, it takes a lot of effort. If you want to do something different, it is the opportunity to do something really different and to show what we read in many of the walls of Concordia about the connection with the real world, etc. I think that's the perfect opportunity. But yes, you need to be prepared to work a lot because, I mean, the student will work a lot maybe during the field school, but you will work a lot
Beforehand.
during the field school and many months before, for sure. But the results are usually fantastic. Yes.
Thank you. From a student perspective, what advice would you give to your peers who are really interested in participating in a field school?
I would say two things. Number one would be to trust that you are capable of doing it. I think that independence is an important trait to be learned. And some people might be too scared to go in because it's an unfamiliar environment. But you really learn more about yourself when you're challenged in a place that's unfamiliar to you as an artist or as a person. And also learn the language that you will be hearing a lot. Like it plays a huge role in how much you're able to participate with the people that live there and social interactions. You just get so much more out of it. I would say those two things. But also if it's a financial question, there's a lot of funding at Concordia that some students might not be aware of. And it does not have to be the most expensive thing. And we're quite lucky to have access to that. So yeah, that also.
My second question for you would be, again, would you do it again? Would you participate again if you're given the opportunity?
I will. I'm going to apply for the Mexico in Morelia, that one that's coming up in this spring. It's a music, more of a music trip. Maybe Ricardo can talk more about that.
Yes, it's going to be, if everything goes well, we are going to do it at the Mexican Center for Music and Sound Arts in Morelia. It is music and sound arts, so it's more focused on that. But I mean, we have been there before several times with field schools, not only with music students, but music students that are coming from engineering, theater, from almost every field, communication, films, studies, animation before, because everyone find always a spot to work. And even in the final concert, people coming from many different fields, even people from engineering, they were participating along the week and during the concert. I mean, it is very impressive to see how everyone is finding a place to participate, because when you mention this, it could look like, okay, but this is more for music students and not for other people. Yes, it is for music students, but other people coming from different fields are really enjoying the kind of things we do. And they present in public. As I said before, nobody said no, even if they were coming from engineering or other fields. Yes.
Yeah, it's good to mention that these field schools, although they are regular Concordia courses, they are interdisciplinary in their approach. And as Dr. Dal Farra mentioned, I mean, we might have students from different departments who might be interested in that course. Engineering students would bring in their perspective. Business students would bring in, again, their own perspectives, fine arts students too. So the interest really lies from a different perspective. So yes, it takes time to organize and plan these field schools, but at the end, when we see the outcome and the feedbacks that we receive from our students, I mean, over there, we would say, I mean, our encouragement really worked and our hard work really paid. So
I would say that if I would have the opportunity, if I would be in the university, I for sure would do it. That, I mean, I would love to have an opportunity like my students are having. So for me to organize the field school I'm doing something that I would love to take as a student.
yes, not as a professor.
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dal Farra, for being with us, and Lucia again, sharing your own experiences about the field schools. And we will encourage everybody to participate in our summer 2026 field schools when they are all ready. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maral. Thanks, Lucia. Ricardo, great to have you in here. Just to let you know, we're going to be wrapping up the Zoom and the live stream now. This remains available on our YouTube channel, and I think anyone interested in the field schools should definitely be checking this out, and it's available to share that way. If we see any comments, questions coming in, we'll direct them to the right people. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for doing this. Have a good afternoon, everyone.